That was a sweet countdown.
Okay, how do I cancel that now? Oh, there it is. I was like, excellent. I heard it like 2 times too. Oh,
This is what doing it live really means.
There's a Bill O'Reilly joke in here. I know it.
Well, Frankie said he was a fan of just doing it, so let's just do it and then mute ourselves.
I heard myself echo 3 times. I was like, okay, no, I can't do this. So there you go. Okay,
StreamYard, man.
excellent. Perfect. Okay, excellent. All right, so thank you very much, everyone, for joining us. My name is Frankie, the VMware Code Community Manager, and today we're going to be talking about the hackathon that's going on over at Explore this year. We're super excited. Last year, I know we had Alan as a judge, so he's one of the godfathers of this, so it only made sense to bring him back. So we offered, right, and we're like, oh man, hopefully he can come back, and then yes, he said yes, and Justin, right? So Justin, just quick intros here, sorry, and then I'll let you guys talk. So Justin, I have not met Justin in person yet, but he's a code coach. I know him. I know that you're a soccer referee, but that you do PowerShell. That's all I know. That's all I know about you. But that's all I need to know, right? At least I get the ball going. And then Michael, yeah. So Michael, yes, I've never met Michael in person, but the thing now that I remember about Michael is that I told him that his right, the image, your profile pic, makes you look like a bad guy from Street Fighter, and like that's all I think about now. Like there is somebody, I saw somebody the other day, like with the eyebrows, right, that like were pointed up, and I was like, oh, bad guy, and I was like, man, imagine them, and I was like, no, I don't know if they know what VMware is, so I'm not even gonna bring it up. So okay, so with that, right, I just want to start with, I like to put myself in circles, right? Circles with the right people, and definitely right here, and that's what the hackathon is about for me. And just surrounding yourself with people that are, not only doing their day job, but that want to learn, and and just keep growing, and that's what you three represent. So, and that's why, I love having you here. Okay, so Alan, would you mind kicking us off? I know. Sorry about that. I'm put you on the spot. So kick us off, and because you were a judge last year over in Vegas, at least. Yeah, and I got to meet you for the first time. I was the team captain. Oh, no, I was so excited, but super nervous, because even though I helped put the hackathon together, I wanted to compete as well. So yeah, tell us what you thought.
My thoughts of last year.
Yeah, last year, and what you're hoping to see kind of change, or what you're hoping to see from the competitors this year.
Okay, cool. Yeah, so last year was awesome. I think so. Right, if I go back a bit, I mean, so William and I started the original hackathon back in God knows what year it was now, a long time ago. But we started that with just an idea of getting people in the same room, and we brought along some Intel NUCs that we'd previously built. We threw them all together with some shoestring, and so a router that didn't really work so well once we had way too many people hooking into it, and basically said, come along, have some fun, hack on something. We don't care what it is. So we just want to see people. We want to talk about code, and we want to understand what ideas you have and what thoughts you have around features or around products or around what you're doing with our platform. So that's how it started, and honestly it was an excuse to get people in a room and drink beer and eat pizza, and it worked, because we had a lot of people turn up. We had a great time. We had a lot of laughs, and a lot of people learned something new. So that to me was a success.
And there was beer and pizza.
And there was beer and pizza, yes. And one of the judging criteria I remember that we made up on the spot was how many beer bottles you had on your table counted as extra points. So that's part of the fun, right? So I don't think you can take that away. And I think that's continued on through all of the hackathons that have taken place since. Last year was no exception to that. There was a lot of great people there, variety of different projects that people were working on, and it's great to see the technologies grow with the people as well. Because when we started it, there was no such thing as Kubernetes or Docker or containers, or well, I'm sure there was, but it wasn't around at that point, right? So it certainly wasn't mainstream. So to go last year and to see this, this growth of things like containers, AI, machine learning, and everybody suddenly jumping on those technologies and working with those and working out what it was, how they could work with it, and what they could do to help other people learn this as well. That was what struck me from last year, was just all those new technologies and the popularity of them, and how everybody was trying to just quickly come up to speed with them and learn what they mean and what they can do with them. And some teams had experts, so they were able to take the lead and really show people what AI and ML was and how they could get started, and other people were not. They were just like, okay, well, what if I start a GitHub repo that actually takes people through my learning experience and gives them shortcuts on how to learn what I'm learning? And all of these were great projects, and I think that eagerness to learn and to improve people around you is exactly what a hackathon is.
And Justin, let me head over to you. So for you, what would, based on your experience and what you kind of, again, I don't really know you, and that might sound bad, but I think I think that's great from my perspective, right? So because you're going to be over at Explore, it just gives me, of course I like to talk, so I'm going to have a lot to talk to you about, and definitely questions to talk to you about. But as far as this Explore and this hackathon, since your background is a PowerShell, again, that's what I know you from. What would be like a winning idea or like a winning project? And before you answer that, the theme for this year, there's no like catchy title. I just wanted, so Vladimir and I we're putting this, we're planning this, and what I really wanted to get through is to kind of hit on what Alan said, and in conversations that I had with Michael earlier as well, where we want the community, right? Not just people that not just existing customers, but community members to be able to come in, learn something, and say, okay, this is what VMware has to offer, but how do we actually use this to our benefit, right? Where in knowing that, what would be something winning for you?
So first, let me just build off of what Alan was talking about. And for me, one of the draws for the hackathon is that I always loved that I would be in a room with people from all over the world, different walks of life, and be paired with them on a team. I'd never met them before. I walk up, I sit at a table, and I'm, generally it's going to be the PowerShell table for me. That's fine. But we're there to kind of solve a problem and create something. This year might be a little bit different because you can create before, back in the old school days, we came that day and everything started in those, 3 hours and finished in those 3 hours. So a little different. But again, different people, all walks of life. And then the other thing is you can come with any skill level, whether you're an expert or whether you know absolutely nothing. I've been on both sides. I've had people on my teams that knew nothing and just wanted to participate and learn and create something and be part of that process. And I've had experts come in and they wanted to be the ones who were teaching. So for me, when I look at this year, not having participated last year, I wasn't able to make it to Explore. I'm looking at the team makeups and how well they gel together and bring the newer people along with them. for whatever they create. I want to know that people got to experience the creation of whatever it is that this team's working towards.
Beautiful, beautiful, man. Michael, so
My turn.
go ahead and take the combination of both of those questions that I asked these guys and do your thing. Thank you.
Tap dance. Yeah, so this will be the first VMware Explore that I've been to in person since like 2019, I think we were talking about. Since the pandemic, I actually haven't gone. But folks know me most for, my claim to fame is Mr. Fusion, much like Alan's Mr. Power CLI and Justin's Mr. PowerShell. I am Mr. Fusion Workstation. But these days, that's actually not my job. So after the acquisition, I handed Fusion and Workstation off to a team of folks who I've been working with for a couple of years, and I'm still helping advise them and making sure they're doing the right thing, like the whole free for personal use and whatnot. That was sort of my bag. But these days I'm running the VCF Experience program, and as well as all of our other VCF community initiatives. And my whole ethos, coming to tying it back, is basically this, right? VMware by Broadcom now has a few products, not a million. We only have a few. Their components are hugely more complex than what they used to be. The things on the cart are more complex. There's a lot more nuance to them. They require a lot more forethought when you're talking about vSphere Foundation or vCloud Foundation, right? And these are our huge new big initiatives. And so my job, and I take this on personally because I personally feel like I owe my career to the VMware community. I wouldn't be where I am if it wasn't for the two-way interaction I've had over the years, like just sitting in the room, listening to guys like Alan and William go back and forth and like osmosifying all of what I can from them, right? And that helped propel me through my career. And so for me, I owe it to y'all to make sure that you are going to be successful with the new offerings that we've got, VCF and VVF, right? And so I'm baking that into all the programs that I run now. We have this thing called the VCF Experience program where you get like a hands-on lab kind of effect, and it's pretty sweet. And we're actually using some of that technology to help deliver some of the hackathon infrastructure here. So for me, I look at it as a bit of a training ground, right? It's a place where y'all can come in and kind of get familiar with the things that you need to become operationally successful with. Maybe there's a thing that you like, in your day job keeps you up at night. I always get this one ping and this one notification of something or other. We can take this time to sit aside and write a script, like work that out of your life, make it for you. We can share, we can, hey, what are you guys working on over here? How does that impact your day to day? And really kind of have that in the room osmosis effect where, even as we're sort of going through our own work streams, when we come together at the end, it's like, oh, you built this thing and you built that thing. Oh, cool. We can totally, have a better sum of the whole, kind of a solution where we're putting these things together. And that's how organic collaboration works, right? So I look at this as a great way for folks to really get their hands into the technology itself, right? And doing what they can in a nice, safe, sandboxy environment that, you don't need a bunch of extra racks on the shelf to POC and kind of play with. It'll give you that firsthand experience on what is VCF, how do you be successful with it, how is it going to help your career, and how can we sort of take everything, this two-way communication that we have with the community to the next level, right? We want to listen to folks who are like, I'm going through this thing, I'm trying to make this problem go away, but like I'm hitting this roadblock, this wall. We can take that item, bring it back to the product team and get them to fix it. Or it's like, hey, this thing that they built that's new, it's fantastic, we love it. Make more of that happen, right? And so that feedback is super valuable from taking it from the community and baking it into the product. But like I said, it really gives you that opportunity to sit down in the room with folks who know what's up, go through it, get yourself familiar with it, because it's a matter of like what's on the cart, how to be successful with it, what other technologies can you adjust inside of your environment to get the most out of what VCF has to offer. So I look at it as a great way to help, make folks successful with what we're trying to do here. And, we're not successful without you. And so this is super high visibility from the top, like making sure that our practitioners know how to win with VMware going forward.
Yeah, and in that vein, we were, yes, how you said, we were able to work with the HOL team, and I just went through the quote unquote training, the walkthrough of being able to access the HOLs. So they gave us a couple labs that have the VCF stack all in there, and that they're going to have, and they have a mounted like SMB drive, so that people can pass code, right? There's, I don't know if you can do that with a regular HOL, but yeah, you can pass text into it, and it has VS Code inside and also Notepad++. And yeah, so you're going to be able to play around, and without having you don't have to have everything installed. When I was a customer, I didn't have, I had access to VRA or ARIA automation and orchestrator. I didn't know how to deploy them though, and I just didn't have time. And so then, unfortunately, right, that became shelfware to me. So like this, right, that is why we're so excited, right, to say that we're going to be able to give people a lab and say, here you go, hit all this without having to worry about deploying it yourself and play around with it.
Because that's hard, man. Like deploying it, because like we look at it in sort of two work streams, right? There's like getting it set up, right? Like that day zero, sort of like get everything hooked up, installed, and it works. And then there's like, okay, how do I actually use this thing going forward, like to meet the needs? Like my business lines of business are coming at me with infrastructure requirements. How do I like click a button and get them that, or run a script and get them that exactly and as quickly as we can, right? So we're grateful in this regard that you gotta take away all the setup stuff, all that boring, like, how to install. That's all done. We get to go on to the next level, like, okay, cool. Here's your environment. Here's your API endpoints. Let's make some magic happen from there.
And Alan, I'd like to hear from your perspective, right? Because I know you work over on the edge, right? And so earlier today, I was driving into work, and I was like, man, dude, like I was looking at the cars. I was looking at this, I was looking at this automated, this electric car that, of course, was swerving in front of me. And I'm like, oh my gosh, right? I want to make these cars smarter. And but I was thinking of that being an edge point, right, in IoT. So I'm super interested in hearing what you would think, right, would be what would be a project that gets extra points, man, extra bonus points when they come and get judged by you.
Oh wow, that's an open book. I'm the kind of guy that finds everything interesting. I think. I've come to
Dude, I remember when you built augmented reality stuff where you could like take a server rack and you had like a magic leap glasses and you were like, all right,
you were
how
on
do
the stage
replace
too.
this CPU? And like, dude, talk about being interested in all kinds of stuff, man.
Exactly. I'm just interested in technology, I think. So I find interest in every project that everybody does. Like I said, from a Git repo that gives you instructions or knowledge to a PowerShell script to a container to some full-on Java or Go code, right? Each one of those has their own interests to me. It's more about the problem that they're solving, I think I'm interested in. So yeah, and that's working in SDE in software defined edge division rather than VCF, and working on the edge or with the edge or at the edge. Is super interesting to me because of that, because everybody's edge is different, right? You talk to everybody about what edge is, and they have their own definition. Is it thin edge? Is it thick edge? Is it far edge? Is it minute edge? Is it retail edge? Is it IoT edge? Like all of these things are completely different. The use cases are completely different. The way that they're using the compute at that location essentially is completely different, and that's what I love about it. Michael talked about standing up the products is the first hard point, right? And I agree with you. What we've done with our products, I don't want this to turn into a sales call, but what we've done with what we're doing at the edge, because edge is completely scaled out, is we've introduced things like zero touch provisioning. So when they stand up a host, it's automatically provisioned, it's up and running, and it's got virtualization and Kubernetes endpoint ready for you to attach to and start using through desired state. So that's a fundamental difference between what we do elsewhere in the company, and I think that's a great aspect of automation that we can provide for our customers. So so to me, for the next level of what somebody might do with an edge project is, I'm interested in what they're going to stand up on those edge devices. What are the products that they're going to run at that edge location? Specifically for edge. But as I said, I don't care what people do, so long as they have fun and so long as they do something interesting, and as long as everybody's learning. That's all that matters at a hackathon, right? And I'll judge each of them individually based upon how much fun they had, what their output was, how much they brought the beginners up to speed with the products, how much everybody got involved as well. People think that it's only people that write code that need to go to hackathons. That's completely wrong. You need a variety of different skills there, I believe. I think you need people that know what the problem is and how to solve that problem, i.e. product managers. You need people that are, the people that do write code. You need people that are integration experts as well, people that know how to stitch things together and stand up services for infrastructure. And you need UX people as well. You need people that make it look nice. There's no point in having a great product if nobody can use it. So, having those UX people there as well, and then having the marketers there that can stand up at the end and give that presentation about what that team did in the last 2 hours. There's a variety of different skills. So like hackathons are not just for people that write code. They're for everybody. Come along, join in. You'll find a place. You'll learn something new and you'll have fun.
And, to echo on that point and double down, like you're totally right. And I really appreciate your sort of the way that you're thinking about it from it's not about like what the biggest and most interesting project overall is, how we compare against each other. It's more about how we compare against ourselves. Right. Yeah. And so we have I remember one year where, we gave a prize to a group that had done something that was pretty small. And there was another group that had done something that was very huge. They solved this really interesting giant automation program. It took 5 of the folks working on it. They brought in their own lab. They really dove in. And ultimately they won. But we gave the second place prize to a smaller team that was working on something very niche, very small to them, but for them it was a huge achievement. They had to learn a lot of stuff to get that small amount of code, which was very crisp with a problem that it tried to solve. And so it was a really important honorable mention for them in that, hey, this wasn't about doing something that's going to scale out to all, an edge endpoint of times 1,000. And it's not about how to do something back in the data center. It was about something very small, very specific to their need. And it really solved that problem well. And that's where they got the points, was that they were crisp about the problem, very elegant in the solution, and it worked. And so, again, it's to your point, it wasn't about, and those folks weren't coders. They were how do I what VS Code? Where do I get that from? And they kind of learned it on the fly. But at the same time, they went over to that group of 5 who had the lab, and they're like, hey, how did you guys stand this? Or how are you hitting this endpoint? And they're like, oh, we can give you our endpoint. You can hack against it. And so, bam, now I have an environment. So they were able to just focus on the code, right? And, it was about that collaboration that everybody got together. But again, they were just trying to solve the problem that mattered for them. And, so if you can look at it as a way to hey, how do I get some extra time to scratch this itch I've got? It's a great way to get other brilliant minds who'd be like, oh yeah, PowerShell. Here, I got one on the cart here. Go ahead and play with it. While we're having beer and pizza.
Oh yeah, and I love that that all 3 of you are echoing kind of the same thing, right? I think Justin started off with, it's not about a certain project, right? Or how Michael said, it's not in all these different things. At the end of the day, are you having fun? And the people that are genuinely there to learn, did they actually learn? Did the quote unquote experts actually try and bring up those people? And I think that's that is so cool. Yeah, and especially I remember, I'm gonna pass the mic over to you, Justin. But over 2017, I believe it was 2017. I was at the Luxor, and oh my gosh, what's his name? Cody DeArkland. He created he led a class on how to create an Alexa skill and have it talk to vCenter. And I was like, oh my gosh, that is just amazing to me. So I remember sitting in the class and I popped open my laptop. I was ready to go. Stretch my fingers. I was good. Okay, and I was telling my son last night, and he's like, okay, download this. Okay, I got that. I can download something, install it. I was like, man, I don't know how to install this. And no joke. And then he flew through and he's like, oh, there's a lot of steps. And it was a whole classroom. And so then I was, 20 minutes in, I closed my laptop. Very cool. I was like, no, I don't have time for this. I'm too cool. Closed my laptop and I just sat there in amazment. And I was, oh my gosh, and it's just, it's things like that, right? Where people are taking the time to teach others. That's the best part.
I think what we need to remember is, and you can correct me if I'm wrong, but I don't think anybody's taken anything from a VMware hackathon and started a company and is now retired with millions of dollars, right? This is fun. This is. I mean, it's a competition. Don't get me wrong. Everybody should think that it's a competition, and we want to see everyone compete. But there's no expectation that you're going to do anything with the project after you walk away. So it's fun. It's, maybe you're solving a problem, maybe you use it in your office, but it's not so serious that you're going to lose $1 million either.
Yeah, actually, one of the questions I always ask people when I walk around is, what are you going to do next? Like, don't let it end here, right? It shouldn't just be come here and have fun. What are you going to do next with what you did? Even like a valid response and a really good response is, I'm going to take this stuff that we did, I'm going to put it in a Git repo, and I'm going to tell other people about it. I'm going to share it, and we're going to continue working on it, right? I've met all these people from around the world that I didn't know before, and now we're friends, right? We've had a beer and pizza together. We're gonna go home, and we're each gonna sit there, and we're gonna still work on this and still progress this because we like the idea. So I think it shouldn't end at the hackathon. It should continue.
I do still use one of the projects that I wrote or that we worked on years and years ago. I still use it.
There you go. See, that's awesome.
So, fun times.
And yes, there will be beer this year, Alan. I was going through, and so last year you created a quick 1 minute video with Brian Graff, right? So he was with us last year, and that was the thing too. And get together, have a beer, and blah blah. I was like, beer. I was like, man, that sounds good, right? Earlier today we were in an Explore call. We were looking at the community hub. And I'm like, I was thinking right smack in the middle, like if there was only like a beer garden or like a wine bar, right? Just to come out and to be strolled out about midway through the conference or through the day, just so people can relax a little bit. That would be cool. I don't know if that's gonna fly, but at the hackathon though, that's a different story. Yeah, so perfect.
Yeah, and while I don't think any of us here would use the phrase, we can be bribed. But as a judge, we certainly are impartial to favors. I'm a whiskey guy myself. Not to speak for anybody else here, but I've done other competitions before, and one of the things about the competition was how do you, in addition to what you're doing, impresseth upon the judges that you are really interested in winning. And we're always eager for creative ways that folks can continue to try and impress us there.
So you're saying smuggle in bourbon to the conference?
It's Vegas, man.
That's
you
what I'm
smuggle
hearing.
Nothing.
The creative ways to win reminded me of the first hackathon we did, where we took those Intel Nooks. We gave each team a printed thing that said, hey, you're team number 1, here's your username and here's your password. But stupidly enough, we made all the usernames like team 1 and team 2 and team 3 and team 4, and all the passwords were password 1 or something. So one of the teams actually hooked into everybody else's Nook and shut them down so that they could win the team. I was like, you get points for that. That's amazing.
Well, everybody else who didn't build resiliencies around that, that's one of the things we have to defend against, just saying.
Not a security, I thought.
It's right there in the name, guys.
Yeah.
Oh man, I saw that too. No joke. I saw that in a blog post, and I need to go back to the HOL team and make a little bit of a revision with the username password. Yeah, we need to. Okay, yeah, thank you.
Well, thankfully we're not going to have Nooks in the room, so no one's vCenters are going to be exposed to everybody else. Thank goodness for HOLs, and vCloud Director tenancy limitations. But yeah.
Excellent. Yeah, no. So let me switch topics over to attendees and prizes. So which is a fun part. Last year, and again, right? Yeah, I was part of the organizing team, and there's no knock, right? These are all just learning opportunities, right? So our remote participants, we certainly want people. We understand that not everybody can make it to Explore. And although we want them to, it is not a requirement to come in and join us and have fun and learn. So definitely, for those people, I believe we're planning gift cards, right? So something nice and easy, and that is not limiting, right? So just make sure. And then we are also working on a Credly badge, right? So again, it's not a certification, but we want to make sure, right? We want to make sure that people get some sort of recognition, because it does take a little something, right? It does take a little something to get up and say, you know what? Yes, I will participate in this. I remember going, how I said, the 2017 hackathon. I'm sure there was a hackathon 2018, and then, but I remember going. I'm like, oh man, dude, these people, I don't know. I just can't do it. I just can't do it. So then I walked away. So
Regrets. We all have them, man. We all have them.
so in how Alan was saying, right? You know, there's man, it
Prizes.
Apparently, my only regret is not drinking enough beer to get enough points to win the first couple times.
Gotta have them stacked
Is
up.
there a potted plant somewhere you could just sort of like, oh, look how many empty bottles I got on my thing, and I could still walk straight.
I don't
Ignore
think
that
I've been
dead
to a
plant in the
conference
back
center
there.
with plants. Have you?
I don't know if they're real plants or not, but hopefully there's a potted something or other.
Yeah. So and how Alan was saying, right? It does take if you're not a coder or programmer, you know, definitely don't shy away, because even coming up with an idea, right? That it is very difficult, because you as somebody that say you take an engineer or something, and okay, let me post this thing. So if you take an engineer and they're, you know, somebody that's just used to, hey, you know what, you know, like a point and shoot, and okay, you know, let me just work on the problem, or used to firefighting, they may not be so creative, right? And so they may see the world in a completely different lens. And for you to just simply come in, you know, you may think coming up with an idea, or you know, just spitting out issues that you've seen in the environment, or even if you're a DBA, right? A DBA, you're like, golly, man, my BI admin, if only they ... You know, that is perfect to bring in here. Or if you're an existing PM, right? A project manager, not product manager, a project manager that comes in, and you're like, you know what, this is what I've seen, and hopefully, what can we do here? It's things like that. And then yes, at the very tail end, if you have, right, a lot of people in IT are introverted, and so you need somebody that maybe they don't need to know about technology at all, right? You know, they just come in, and yes, they're there for the show. At the very end, it's like, okay, let me just take it from here, and then you sell it, right? If you sell it at the very end, that can very well, you know, win you the competition too. So yeah,
Well, to double down on your point there, you know, there's something that's a little different this year than in years past in the zeitgeist of our industry. ChatGPT. It did not exist. You know, it wasn't anywhere near as good as it was now. I don't use it. I use Claude because, you know, I'm I don't know, snob like that, I guess. But 3.5 Opus all day. But what's awesome is you don't need to have those coding chops to accomplish coding exercises anymore, right? You can, if you can crisply define the problem and articulate it in a way that, like, you know, is effectively programmatic speak to a, you know, to a computer using natural language, it can help you. It can say, oh yeah, just write this thing, copy, paste. Oh, it's giving me this error. Back and forth, back and forth. Bam, solved it, hacked it out, worked through it, a couple iterations. Here, now this PowerShell script does this thing that I wanted it to do. You know, the ChatGPT and Claude and whatnot, they're trained on everything on the internet. And a lot of this stuff has been because the community has published and has contributed all this stuff out in the open. All those AIs are very aware of how this stuff works. So you can leverage them in real time and like go from ideation, problem solving to like something that looks like a proof of concept, you know, with relative limited understanding of how code actually needs to behave. Like I have Python scripts that do all kinds of fun stuff. I'm not a Python expert. I couldn't have written it from scratch. But when I ask Claude, I need you to solve this problem, and it comes back with some Python, I can read it, kind of understand roughly what it's doing. Everything I can go in and like, hey, explain this, explain that, tell me more about this. And it can just walk you through it like you're 5. And it's incredible. It's a technology that we've never had access to before. So that barrier of like solving the problem to developing a solution is now shorter than ever. And I think it's awesome. And for stuff like a hackathon, it's like a secret weapon, I think, for folks. Not so secret anymore.
That's a hard one to think about as a judge as well. It's like, I don't want people not to use tools like that, but how much how much do you judge people that have used entirely, a chat GPT rather than written the code themselves?
Well, I think it comes back to your point of like, how much weight are you putting on into the solving of the problem and like the syntax of the solution versus like crisply identifying the problem and the desired outcome.
Yeah, agreed.
So that's case by case thing, but
yeah, but then too, right? Yeah, even if you do take all that and then using all that and then teaching the people that have not used ChatGPT, right? That may be living under a rock or something, and then you actually teach them how to do the steps, right? If you can decipher everything that ChatGPT just did for you and teach them, then I think there's points there too. Yeah, and going off of that, right? If you don't have an idea or if you're just looking to learn, right? Again, we wanted to make this just a little bit more. It's not that the other ones weren't inclusive, but we want to bring in more of the community and more remote participation to these. And just like that 2017 year where we had the 3 session rooms open and people teaching, this year we're going to have leading up to the conference starting next week. We're going to have hackathon training sessions, right? We're going to kick off with Lino. He's a code coach over in Italy. And so he's going to teach us how to code a VM infrastructure from scratch using Terraform Cloud and Vault, right? So we have Brock Peterson talking about ARIA operations, Ryan Johnson. I met Ryan. I met Ryan Johnson. He's over in GitHub a lot. To be honest, I don't know what he does. But he sounded. When I spoke to him, oh man, he was such a fun person to talk to too. Terraform, Packer, just all these things. I was like, oh my gosh, I just want him here. And then we have Angle, right? And Yatin, they're going to be talking about vSphere APIs and SDKs. So yeah, and those are all going to be quote unquote sessions, right? That they're going to lead, and just to help and teach people, right? So you don't have to start from zero, right? And Justin, do you believe people write from write, say, a PowerShell script or something like that, some automation? Do you think people nowadays write everything from scratch, or are they able to leverage the community? And what do you think?
I don't think people should write from scratch. Whether they do or do not is on them. There's still times where I'll write stuff from scratch, but I think if you're not leveraging, whether it be AI or whether you're leveraging the VMware community pages, if you're not looking and let's say, I don't want to say plagiarizing. Yes, that's loopy is exactly what I was thinking. I didn't want to say that, but if you're not taking what somebody else has done, you're wasting your time, right? I mean, I think that from a pure PowerShell perspective, there's the inherent language you need to understand, and whether that's any language, right? You need to understand how to use language, how to use code to solve problems. I think once you understand that, you can code in any language. But to think that you need to open up an editor and just start writing Python or writing PowerShell or Java, I think that's silly. I really do. There's so many things out there that can start projects for you, start PowerShell modules for you, start Java projects for you. So I think there's no reason to start from scratch at this point.
Code is cheap, but solutions last a long time.
I like that. Cool. Okay.
Hackathon 24, code is cheap.
So the last question, so we have about 15 minutes left, and I definitely want to be respectful of your time. So what kind of person should participate in something like this, right? Whether you're in the beginning of your career, are you even in IT, or who should participate? And no, let's not do the who. Let's do the why. I was going to
say, what a layup. Everybody should come to this. Come on. There's
exactly.
If you're an architect, you're writing code, you're in the middle, there's something for everybody, right?
Yeah, even the people that don't want to take part, come and see what other people are doing. Like, come and ask questions.
Yeah, don't be like Frankie and walk away.
Yeah, exactly. Don't be a Frankie. Come on. Don't have regrets.
You know what? So the one time that I don't remember where, but there was a hackathon where yes, I eventually stepped in, but I so something about me, I like I definitely like to be challenged, right? I remember growing up, I was with my dad. We are trying to pick a soccer team, and for me to join, and then I was like, oh man, there's a soccer team. They had uniforms and like they were like organized, and I was like, no, that's not me. That's not me. And so then we went over to a different soccer field. Oh man, this team was perfect. They had no matching uniforms, no matching uniforms. The coach was a dad, and I was like, oh, this is the perfect team for me. So I joined the team, and then
Scrappy.
eventually we got second place and we lost to the good looking team. But you know, it's things like that, right? I want to, and I feel like a need to start at the bottom, right? And just like this, right? I want to learn to start at the bottom. And when I finally said, you know what, this is it, I'm gonna join. That again, I don't remember the place, but Eric, my boss, right? So Eric, my boss, was sitting at the table, and this before I knew who Eric was, and some guy was sitting there, and I was like, this is a perfect team. There's only two people. I was like, expectations are probably really low, and I was like, you know what, I have a chance to probably make a difference. So I sat down and I was like, hey, so is it okay to join the team? They're like, oh, definitely, right? And right, right off the bat, it's a welcoming, right? You're welcoming, and again, right? You're now all of a sudden now you have a circle, and then we ended up not finishing the project, but that wasn't the point. I was so happy.
I think the interesting thing, Frankie, about your story is you were the guy that turned away and walked away. And now I look at your tag here and you're the code community manager, right? I mean, come on, right? You've gone from walking away to being the guy that's now talking about the hackathon and running the hackathon. So if that isn't a story as to why you should attend a hackathon in itself, I don't know what is.
You know, we said earlier about regrets, like, you know, Frankie learned, man.
Yeah.
He's like, you know what? This is an opportunity that if I miss, it could change my life, right? And dude shows up and look at him now, man.
Exactly. I think we've probably all got familiar stories like that, right? I mean, I started off writing a script that I thought solved an issue for me, and then speaking to somebody about how you start a blog up, shared that script, and then suddenly I, got people saying, oh, can you come and talk at this VMUG because your script's really useful and it helped me as well. And then, that one thing leads to another. And if I'd never have started that script to solve my problem, I wouldn't be sat at VMware halfway across the world from where I originated, working in an awesome job that I love, with a bunch of smart people. So that one small thing can change your life.
You're here.
Yeah, one small decision. Yeah. So yeah, and again, so last year I with the acquisition, with everything going on, I had no clue what was going to happen. So that's why I stepped out to be a captain too. I was like, oh my God, yeah. Sorry.
Oh. Dude, your heart's so big. Come on, we can all feel it. See, friends, this is why, this program is the way that it is, and why we're all here right now, because of, the heart and soul that this guy's been pumping into here, and it stretches across more than this program. There's so much going on right now. But, my point earlier is like, we're all here to try and make sure that our practitioners are successful, right? Like whether that's osmosis in the room, we're sharing, we're community. That's what community is, right? It's us really coming together to try and solve problems. And sometimes they're ours, sometimes they're shared, but it's that coming together. And, now you're going to make me all verklempt. Jeez.
Yeah. And two, right. The reason with so, okay. Deep breath. So the reason why, with this theme is when I was a customer, man, I spent a lot of time, just working on maintenance, right? All these maintenances, and it's like, I had no time for family. And so it's like, you know what, let's just make that person's life easier, right? Selfishly. I was like, you know what, I want to help people that used to be in my shoes, and thank goodness I'm not on call anymore. Yeah, but yeah, I want to help people in those shoes. and definitely looking at VCF, looking at PowerShell or PowerCLI, and then working over on the edge, right? What I used to do as a customer touch all those things. PowerShell, it saved me months of work, maybe even years. And yes, I did go to Luke D University, and oh man, it was just money. I'm telling you, it's great. It's just great. Yeah.
Yeah, Luke and I, in one of our very first sessions, like, what's the phrase, the well-known phrase, work smarter, not harder, right? So, I mean, that's the point, right? We used to give the example of that person that used to sit in the UI and click 100 times to create 100 virtual machines.
The rock star.
And then show that one line of code that would create 100 virtual machines, and the guy at home with his family, you know, drinking whiskey with his man bun. So it's, you know, it's about that,
the
right?
one thing I've learned yeah, totally. Like the one thing I know as I've been getting older, you know, my birthday's next week. I'm gonna be 43. And one thing I've noticed is that time is something you never get back. Time is a currency that can only be spent. And so you have to pick and choose where you're going to invest that time, right? And so the hackathon's a great way to like spend, you know, 4 hours, but what you can get out of that, maybe you get your weekends back, you know, maybe you figured out how to solve some problem so you're not up at 3 o'clock in the morning dealing with remediation crap, because now you deployed VCF, you got ARIA, it can just handle it for you. You know, you wrote a script, it knows what to do when this happens, and bam, away you go. You got that time back. And so, like, I don't know, as I've gotten older, money's great, you know, things in life are great, but time is the currency that we all have. No one's got more than the other one. It's the only thing that we can spend. And so the more we can do to kind of get some of that time back, you know, that's happier life for me.
I'm not sure if you're trying to bring us down or raise us up here. Huh?
No, I mean, what I'm saying is, like, if you can go to a thing like a hackathon, you can get the community thing, and like, you know, it's a little bit of a time investment in that we're spending, you know, we're having fun doing it. It's community, everything else. But like, what you can take away from that saves you all that time in your day job. That's
we get it. Yeah, I completely agree.
And two, right? Even if you're okay, so yeah, we're a couple minutes. We're 7 minutes out. So for the people that may still be on the fence, right? You know, and about joining the hackathon, Hackathon Las Vegas, in a couple months, you know, you have no excuse. Again, you can join remotely, but we will also be having this hackathon over in Barcelona as well. So you have even more time. How about you start a project now, and then also link up, right? Link up, join the code community, link up with a code coach, right? Just like Justin over here, and or join the community Broadcom. Yep, community.broadcom.com, and look up PowerCLI or just automation, just something. There's so much knowledge in there, right? Go ahead and just join and see what you can come up with. And if you walk in, Michael, my boss, and I, we're going to have a meeting after this. You gotta love meetings, right? And so we're going to have a meeting where we're going to talk and discuss possibly coming up with a project or something for the walk-ins too, right? So yes, if you walk in, we want to be able to say, hey, you know what? Welcome, you know, a little hug, have a drink, and let's get you over here. You know, you can join, go ahead and walk around. All the teams are super nice. And then if you don't like what they're doing, if you want to do your own thing, totally. And, you know, let's set you up, right? We want to help teach you, you know, honest to goodness. Yeah, we want to help teach you. We want to make your life easier. And soccer, yes, that is like football. Yeah, in Spanish too, it's called fútbol. Yeah, and then we called American football. Yeah, fútbol americano. So yeah, so we're the same. We're the same. Yeah, you know, I love it. All right,
I think in Barcelona, instead of beer and pizza, it's sangria and paella, right?
Dude, that paella last year was amazing. I'd never seen anything so big. It was fantastic.
Excellent. And you know what? So we have not started planning Barcelona yet, but one big thing over in Vegas is last year again, right? We go through these things, we learn. The biggest thing that as organizers too, and it affected the community, was the actual location of the hackathon. So it was a little bit far away, just a little bit out of the way. And so this year it will definitely be closer. So it's going to be in Ballroom I. So it's not going to be right off the center, but it is. You just make a little left turn as you're exiting the expo, because the expo lets out at 7 o'clock on that Monday, August 26th. So as you're exiting, you just make a left as you come up to the second floor, and you're going to run into people trying to get better at whatever it is that they're doing. So, yeah. So, any parting words, Justin?
I'm excited for it. We'll see you in Vegas. No better place for it.
Excellent. Parting words, Michael?
Bring your ready to have fun attitude.
And Alan, the Godfather.
Because I'm old or because of something else?
No, because you're one of the founding.
You're
founding
old,
members, right? Yeah.
Back in my day. Wow. Yeah, we used to code in black and white. Let me tell you.
2 B's for a quarter, they'd say.
Parting words, just like, come join in. I can't say that enough. Come join in, have fun. Even if you don't sit down and join in a team, just come and talk to people, make some friends. A lot of people go to these conferences and they're the only person from their company, and they, sit in their hotel room and have fear of meeting people. Like, don't be that person. Just come and sit down and talk to people.
What you're working on is a fantastic icebreaker.
Yes.
Yeah, and that reminds me of me, right? Yeah, I'm sorry. 2 more minutes of your time. Sorry. So yeah, when just how you said, right? If I used to be the only one from the company from when I was a customer that would go, and the one pro tip, I could suggest to people, lunch, right? Go sit down at a lunch table where there's people, and please don't have your headphones on. Don't have your headphones on, right? I love my Bluetooth headphones, but don't wear those around the conference, right? Because if there's so many conversations going on, you can sit down at a lunch table and just listen, right? Don't be a creeper, but listen in, and then just there you go, and then start asking questions. Oh, hey, that is interesting, or you know what? Come find me. No joke. Come find me. I get really nervous when talking like this, but in person, forget about it, man. Forget about it. No, yeah, I'm going to be over in the community hub. I will be in the Code Theater, and I will introduce you to everybody I know. Don't you worry. And if you're on Twitter or X, I will introduce you. Please. I'm not very shy anymore in person. Again, on camera, it's a different story, but I'm not very shy. Go find yourself one of me, and we will get you set up. Let's get you out of your shell. Cool. All right. Thank you, everyone. Thank you so much for your time, Alan, Michael, Justin. This is going to be awesome. All right. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, everyone, for watching.
See you guys.
Take care.
See you there, everyone.
End stream. I think it ended.